Good evening. I'd like to call to order the November 18th, 2024 Board of Education regular meeting. Before we get started, I'd like to share the board's extend our deepest and most sincere appreciation to all the individuals in our school district and within our families and communities who so bravely serve our country, who have so bravely served our country in the military. Together, we acknowledge and honor their courage and sacrifice on behalf of all citizens on this past Veterans Day, as well as each and every day. With that being said, I'd like to call Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next agenda item is to introduce our school resource officers. We have a very close relationship with the Farmington Police Department. Their dedication to the members of the Farmington Public School community is unwavering and reflects a deep sense of care and safety for all. This evening, we want to recognize and welcome back our SROs for another exciting school year together. Officer Jeff Murphy, Officer Alicia Carta, and Officer Tony Regario. And of course, Nash. And if, did I say that right?
My last name?
Yes.
Ruggiero.
Okay, well, thank you. Our comfort dogs, Nash is here as well. And I'm just thrilled to introduce all of them to our community and to the board. I want to also recognize Police Chief Colin Ryan, Lieutenant Corey Vincent, who support us each day, along with our SROs. We extend our deepest appreciation and gratitude to our SROs, our Police Chief and Lieutenant Corey Vincent, and all members of the Police Department. There is never a time that I give a call to one of you or to the police chief where you're not right there to help us and just be partners in everything we do. So we thank you. We'd love for you to come up, say a couple words about the work, and maybe Nash can do something. We'll see. It's always he always upstages me every time. So let's see.
Go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead, Nash.
He's waiting.
High five.
Take a bow. Oh, boy.
Here's my treat.
I know. Okay. Peekaboo.
He's the star of the show.
I mean, I can't really upstage Nash, obviously, but thank you very much for introducing us. I really enjoy working in the school. We all chose to be school resource officers, so it was all our choice. I love the opportunity to work with the students and the staff, and I've learned a lot about school, I think, that I didn't know went on behind the scenes when I was in high school many years ago. But it's great. It's a great relationship, and it's one that I'm looking forward to for this year and hopefully a few more years after this.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate it, and it's nice to, evolve with the schools as time goes on and see the kids grow and, go through the experiences with them. So, thank you.
I definitely appreciate the recognition. Kind of invisible when Nash is around, but some of the kids, Reese does say hi to me every morning, so that is nice. Very nice.
Before you guys step down, I'm going to open it up to my colleagues on the board, everything they want to say. Any questions, comments, things like that at all? I'll say on behalf of the board, you guys are so integral to our success as a school district. Our kids are safe. You're also building relationships, right? And it's something we value very much in our district, is that relationships matter, and the trust that you build in our student community is part of a long legacy of relations with our resource officers. Our current town chair was a resource officer, right? And was with the dog, right?
Yes.
We all remember Drax. One of the things about Farmington Public Schools I think makes us unique is our relationship with our law enforcement partners. So thank you very much for all you do for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
He did.
I've got to get something for Nash. That's true. There you go. That's right.
All right. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. May I get a motion to approve the minutes of the October 21st, 2024 regular meeting?
Motion?
Second? Can I get a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Okay. All those, hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, I need an approval of the minutes of the October 23rd, 2024 BOE special meeting. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion?
Can I get a second?
Second.
Discussion. Only several of us were there. It was for a specific reason. It's part of it, so I'm going to abstain. I wasn't at the meeting, so.
Yeah, there were only 3 of us at the meeting.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
all right, so
Well, everybody else is abstaining.
Right.
So-
All those, I know you were at the meeting. Anything you want to add at all? Like, no?
No, not with the minutes as
Okay.
written.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve them as presented?
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Abstentions. Okay, so the ayes are Marty, Angela, and Andrea. Everyone else is abstained. And for the record, Mrs. Canto couldn't be here tonight. She told me she couldn't be here. I know not that she has to be excused, but I know why she's not here. Just want to make it. She let us know she wasn't going to be here. Okay, next item on the agenda, item 6, consideration of the superintendent's report. Superintendent Greeter.
So I'm thrilled to introduce Dr. Bloor to come on up, Westwood's Upper Elementary principal. And I know Jessica Zafran is here as well, our assistant principal. They're going to provide a welcome and share information about a partnership with Winding Trails that's really made a significant impact on their learning experiences at our upper elementary school. I also know that Tara Vasquez is here too. So welcome and come on up.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, thank you so much for having us. We're so excited to be here this evening. We have 5 fabulous students here with us tonight and a special guest that we're going to be honoring as well. We're excited to share our special community partnership that has been developed in collaboration with our school district and Winding Trails. Winding Trails is a recreational and educational center dedicated to conservation and stewardship. We have invited Mark Dale, the director of Winding Trails and the lead creator of the program, to join us this evening, and you'll see why a little bit later. For many years now, our students in 1st grade, 3rd grade, and 5th grade, and now preschool as well, have had the opportunity to spend full days outdoors at Winding Trails, engaging in active, collaborative activities to learn more about nature. These are much more than field trips. They are opportunities for our students to interact with experts in the field, further develop their skills as global citizens, deepen understanding about key ideas in science, and develop an appreciation and love of our Earth. The programs were created just for our students in our school district to complement and extend our units of study in the classroom.
Invite you.
I'm being ambushed. I don't really like adults. Thank you so much. That was absolutely incredible. What's so wonderful is that, give young people some autonomy, tell them what you need, and give them some light pads, and they'll go. They will go. It's been an amazing piece, and really enjoyed it, and we have a great place, and it's the young people who do it, and it's a very wonderful thing that we get to see them 1st, 3rd, and 5th. Everybody I talk to at conferences like, what? I'm like, same town, same school, and it's great. And it's all scope and sequence, so it's been amazing. Everybody has been amazing. Thank you so much. She's helped my paperwork, which I'm disastrous. The organization, but thank you very much. This is incredible. And Farmington is doing wonderful things outdoors. That whole kindergarten thing, there's a lot of good things going. You got great things moving along. Keep
Inspired by Winding Trail. So thank you. Yes.
All right, we're back on. Item 6 on our agenda, consideration of superintendent's report, item 6B.
So this is our strategic goal results for town council's plan. And we submit this every year. If you remember last board meeting, you had approved a document that had this information in it. And this is just the format that we provide to the town of Farmington.
Questions? All right, thanks, Kath.
So our next item is our science program review. Back last year, we did a program review for science, and if you're new to the board, you will see over time that we regularly review our curriculum in different subject areas. We want to make sure it's up to date and make sure that it reflects our vision of the global citizen and really kind of forward thinking when it comes to different subject areas. So Jackie is here, our science department leader. She's going to share a very impressive science program review. And this is, K-12 programming and curriculum.
Sure. Thank you for having me here. My name is Jackie Patton. I'm the science department leader at the high school. And last year was my first year in Farmington, and I finished up a program review that started the year before. The committee that was in charge of this program review included all the people here on the slide. In addition, also Lisa Kapczynski and Rebecca Shoma, who was the former science department leader. So I want to acknowledge that they started this before I got there. So it's been about 2 years in the making. We also, over the course of this, worked with partners from a ton of different schools, including those that were in Connecticut and outside of Connecticut. We did take a trip to the Chicago area to sort of consult with schools in that area. We also consulted with other community members like Tungsten Community College, the Jackson Laboratory, UConn Health, and then a bunch of our in-house sort of advisory boards and vertical teams, including the science vertical team, the computational thinking vertical team, and our health science and computer science advisory boards, which include members from inside FHS as well as community members that work in those fields. So, okay, so I'll just go through the charges. I'm missing a slide here, sorry. It's okay. So some of the charges for the committee were to sort of look at our programming to make sure, and our instruction to make sure that what we were offering to our students was a well-articulated science program that not only was purposeful and relevant, but very authentic, which is sort of in line with our work with deeper learning, and also ensuring their post-secondary success outside of once they leave Farmington. And part of this was to look at our core science sequence, pathways, and equitable access to our advanced level courses. Sorry, I'm not sure if you actually have this slide that I'm looking at. But maybe.
We're working on it.
Oh, that's okay. Okay. I don't want to read it from it, but I see that you can't see it. And then also looking at sort of the instructional models that we're using within the science program. So I'm going to kind of go through some of the things that we looked at and then decided, and some of the action steps we started to take already that we're going to continue to take. So as you might know, Farmington is one of the few districts in Connecticut that operates on the physics first core sequence model. This is actually really popular on the West Coast and in larger cities, but it's not as common in Connecticut, mostly because of the previous standardized test, the CAPT, which sort of dictated that a lot of schools start with earth science or biology. But for many, many years, we have been physics first. And philosophically, that's because physics is really the foundation for the other sciences. You're going to learn about matter and energy and forces that are that underpin both bio and chem. And so it's a little bit unique in the New England area for us to do this. So we did look at whether or not we wanted to continue this. Is this core science sequence servicing our students? And we also looked at whether or not we could articulate pathways for these growing interests, categories for our students. And so this year, we've sort of implemented what we consider 3 pathways. I'm going to pass out pathways here. be that we had, okay. Thanks. So it used to be that we had a ton of science courses and a ton of electives. This is very traditional, but what we'd like to do is sort of create sort of these pathways where students are able to really decide what they want to specialize in. I always sort of tell students it's kind of like minoring in college, right? You're going to have to take the regular course sequence for your Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Arts anyway, but what do you really want to study in addition to that? What can we support you in? So we landed on, through some student focus groups, biomedical science, computer science, and engineering, because that's where we found, oh sorry, this is the charge of our committee. Biomedical science, computer science, and engineering. And we decided that if a student who's going to be taking the core science sequence anyway, which is physics, and then chemistry, and then biology, but then in addition choose classes in any of these three areas and sort of commit like you would a minor in college, that we would acknowledge this in some way on their transcript so that they could say to their colleges and universities that they're applying to that I really knew what I wanted to do and I chose to focus on it early on. And so if you look at the document that I just gave you, that sort of outlines the plan. It's a living, so this is the one for next year, in that it includes classes that they can take when they can take it, and also sort of, I'll hope you notice that it's sort of like flexible access to the pathways, right? There isn't just a core sequence of 4 classes they can take, but if you're really interested in biomedical science, you can take this half-year course or this full-year course, and at the end of maybe 3 full credits within that pathway, we'd like to give you that distinction that you really specialized in this area of interest for you. So just a quick summary for this year. This year we did implement 2 new courses. We chose to go with Project Lead the Way courses, which we already had in our engineering pathway. The reason why we chose to go with Project Lead the Way is that students have the opportunity to earn college credit through different universities like RIT or University of New Haven. So all of our Project Lead the Way classes are articulated and students can get college credit. We opened up Principles of Biomedical Science. That's the first of a 4-year sequence. And we also introduced cybersecurity because we found that our computer science programming was sort of was limited, and you could finish it within 2 years, right? And it's such a growing field that we're hoping to expand that. So next year we're hoping to include Human Body Systems, which is the second course in the biomedical pathway. A new half-year elective in data science, because that's another growing field. And then also an intro to chemical engineering course, which will help students sort of access our AP chemistry curriculum more equitably, and also support our engineering pathway. But I think you can see in the graphic that there's a multi-year plan for other courses we'd like to add. Again, all of this is sort of in addition to this physics first course sequence here. And we did look at whether or not we should change this, because traditionally in the state of Connecticut, many schools start with bio first or an earth science first. Again, I think dictated by the CAPT. And also, we looked at semesterized classes, hybridizing classes, different sequences that didn't have maybe the same philosophical underpinning, like going from physics to bio to chem. And we sort of landed on the pros for the physics first course sequence were ones that we felt best supported our students, not only in accessing the next generation science standards, science and engineering practices, because the 9th grade physics curriculum is so engineering based and really supports critical thinking, problem solving. It also, I think, supports students in the engineering pathway because it's algebra based. It also, I think, supports our math programming because it sort of emphasizes the algebra that they're learning about that time, as opposed to doing it several years after taking the algebra course. It doesn't require transitioning to another pathway, which is sort of there are like FTE constraints on that and timing constraints. We did look at some of the cons, but they didn't seem to outweigh the pros for sticking with this course sequence, and so instead we chose to put our efforts into outlining the pathways. We did take a look at our test scores in science, and so this is a sort of an overview of the 4 main categories that state test covers. The life sciences would be biology, and physical science would be chemistry and physics, which are the first 2 years. And you'll notice, I think it's obvious that in our life sciences, that's where our strengths are, but that particular course is in their junior year. And so transitioning to any other any other core sequence might see an increase in our scores in the physical sciences, but then because those classes would be happening during the year of the testing, you might also see a decrease in our life science scores. And so right now we've sort of chosen to focus our work on the science and engineering practices that should sort of go across all of the courses. And so right now, I think we're still very comfortable with sticking with the physics first core sequence, and hopefully if you have a 9th grader in our school, then you'll know it's a very fun class and it's very exciting. It's challenging, but it is, again, we do see a lot of benefit in keeping that our first course. Like I said, we did look at semesterizing classes and hybridizing classes. There are FTE constraints with that, and but sort of one of the more glaring factors that we considered was where are our students going after they leave FHS? And a lot of times those are colleges and universities that are looking for your programs. And while most schools actually have a pretty general requirement for what they want their students to take in science, like laboratory science, that's pretty nebulous what that means, 2 to 3 years of science. You'll notice that if you dig deeper into the schools, that a lot of these specialized programs like schools of nursing, schools of engineering, they're looking for high school chemistry. They're looking for high school physics and high school biology, sort of your more classical science courses. And so at the moment, we haven't really, I think it would be too much to transition our students into hybridized classes, and that might take years of work to do. And so we haven't closed the door on that, but we're still, again, comfortable keeping physics and then chemistry and then biology in the science department. I think the other thing I wanted to point out is not just because of our pathway work and our science work, but there is a really, I think, very obvious increase in the interest in science today. STEM careers are on the rise, and they continue to be. In this past year alone, from last year to this year, we saw an increase in requests for our courses that, I think you can see sort of dictated that we needed another 1.2 FTE of courses. We doubled many of our classes, if not added an extra section of almost all of our AP classes, a lot of our computer science classes. And the reality is that we didn't have more staffing, and so we did end up choosing not to run some of our other electives to support our pathways. But I think that you'll see that because of our more articulated programming and our concerted effort in I guess like selling our program to our students and their interest, that you'll see the pathways that you're looking at on that document really support what they want to do in high school and for their futures. So I'm just going to go over quickly just like the things that came out of this program review. First is that we did come up with the pathways. We continue to work on them so they are sort of living, and we hope to continue to survey students and make sure that the courses that we're offering are the courses they want to take, and that will also support them in post-secondary success. To do this, we have phased out some courses because, again, a school of our size can't just keep adding classes without taking some out, but it's a more articulated program. We did develop the Computer Science Advisory Board because of this. Many of those members are community members that work with us in helping advise that. We developed last year a new computational thinking vertical team, which participates in script training, and really that is about promoting the CS for All mission, computer science for everybody, and computational thinking. So that is sort of an overarching vertical team work that we're still working on. Within my department, we're still doing sort of professional learning focused on the science standards that we want our students to master, and building thinking classrooms. I think you've heard of that before, and deeper learning curriculum work within the department. We participated in Deeper Learning Ed Camp, or members from my team did. We are trying to partner with the Jackson Laboratory and sort of exploring the U-Cubed curriculum through Stanford for the new data science course. And then also we're doing a book study in my department on grading for equity, just to make sure that we're sort of hitting the buckets of curriculum, instruction, and assessment to meet the needs of all of our students. And then lastly, like I already said, I think we're very comfortable right now keeping our physics first core sequence, but we'd like to create more transparency and coherence maybe in our teacher recommendation processes. So we've there are some articulation meetings coming up pretty soon about that, and also trying to eliminate maybe barriers that our prerequisites might have incurred before this. So we're looking through an equity lens at our programming and making sure that students have multiple access points to be able to do the things that they want to do. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for me?
We'll open it up to the board.
Oh, Bill, sorry.
Yes, please.
I do have couple questions, just 2 questions maybe. This is going to be in effect next fall? But I mean, I know the physics first, like some of the changes that you've made. When do some of those
Well,
changes?
we started the new 2 classes this year, so
Okay.
we're hoping to. I'm thinking at the end of this year that we will be able to acknowledge students who, because we have juniors and seniors who have taken some of these courses already, and because they were already part of the programming, I'm thinking this year is the year.
Okay, all right. And then I would love to learn more about that grading for equity.
Sure.
You know, that's just some. I think it's just I would love to learn more about it, just in general, about how that's being applied and what you're all thinking about in regards to what you learned from that.
Okay.
That would be great. And then my only other comment is from my own son, who's a sophomore here. He loved physics first. He really did enjoy that, and he loves his engineering program or the chemistry program that he's in right now. Really enjoying it. So I just keep hearing a lot of. I never thought he was a science person, first of all, but now he's like blossoming into like this curiosity around it. And so I just think that whatever you're all doing in the school to introduce this to the students is definitely, I see it at home. I see him talking about it, being so interested in this, and this was not necessarily a topic that we talked about. It's not my field, so it's not. I'm in the social science, so not my field. But I think it's great. I hear a lot of positive feedback from my sophomore years here. So yeah.
I have a couple of questions. The slide which references college admission requirements, and you kind of highlight, a handful of universities. It's 2 slides. I'm looking at the schools that are kind of mentioned there, and I appreciate the aspirational nature of identifying those schools. But is Farmington sending kids to Princeton?
Well, I mean, I took this list from what you'll get soon, I think, from Mrs. Margarelli, the school profile. So they were schools on this list.
Okay.
I can't say that I've been here so long that I would know how many kids went to each school, but
Right.
I'm assuming that if they're on this list, they are schools that our students are looking into and applying to.
Okay.
And so some of the schools that were.
That means it was accepted in that year, so they.
Yeah, and
So I
not-
took
they will
those
be
from a school profile.
Right, and often students are accepted into places like Princeton and others, and they choose
Not to go
UConn.
there.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's a program that meets their needs more, or if they're at a certain level, there's benefits financially to go to UConn. So it's all. I've been surprised, I have to say, in recent years about choices that students and families are making. That yes, they get into some of the Ivy League type of schools, and then choose not to go there and go somewhere else that makes more sense for them personally. And I do think by having lots of choice in our high school about students having autonomy, I mean, Mark talked about that, giving students autonomy, they are making, I think very good choices for themselves beyond their time here. But they've had a lot of practice with autonomy and decision making and these different choices for pathways. So I really love also just the timeliness of some of these pathways. There certainly are careers that are emerging and expanding in these areas, which will position our students well for the future.
Thank you. Another couple questions. One of the things I've always thought about our science curriculum is, we do the core really well, right? I mean, the foundational stuff to get kids to graduate, we do extremely well, and we've always tried to push our envelope and try to make it more enriching and more rigorous and things like that. And I guess my only concern, I just want to just kind of put it out there, is that sometimes, or 15 plus years, I sometimes worry that we're too rigorous. In other words, and you know what I mean? In other words, so this is the classic Farmington problem. We're going to be great at capturing the kids at the bottom. We're going to be fantastic at recognizing and challenging the kids at the top. But it's those kids in the middle that kind of find themselves challenged. So I just want to hear a little bit more about what we're doing, or how this responds to those kids' needs who aren't necessarily called to a science career, but have to have have a science, like like my son, who he was a liberal arts kid all the way. He's a writer, but he had to get through his science requirements. And so how are we handling that, given the conversation we're having regarding the new science curriculum?
I mean, I think that I'll touch on sort of what I said earlier about we sort of did our book study on building thinking classrooms last year to sort of level up our instruction within the classroom. This year we're working on grading for equity to sort of level up our assessment. But that it's important to me that the pathways, I think he can attest to this, it's important to me that in the pathways that our students have multiple access points, because we often offer classes that are full year, maybe at the honors or AP level, and that deters students who might not find that this is like something they thought that they wanted to do. And so given the staffing that I have and the number of students in this school, it's a little bit limited, but I hope you'll see, like in computer science, there are students in 9th grade who've known for a long time that they know how to code. They might have gone to camp, and so they might be able to go into AP computer science principles. That wasn't open to 9th graders before this year, but now it is. But we also have a 1 semester course, the Intro to Computer Science level, or Intro to Computer Science class, that you could take if you don't have any programming experience, but you'd like to just start or dip your toes into it, and it's also not a full year commitment. So we're hoping things like you can go to Intro to Core, which is sort of more of a hands-on engineering sort of access point, or Introduction to Chemical Engineering, and maybe Introduction to Engineering Design, which is a little bit more computer programming based. So there's multiple access points to the same sort of category. So hopefully this document will change a little bit in the next 2 years, so that you see that there are multiple ways that kids can do that, and also flexible ways. So I think we had written that, or it was important for us to say that it was 3 credits total to say that you sort of completed the biomedical pathway, but that might mean taking like the 1 semester anatomy and physiology course, or the full year honors level human body systems, and that either one would sort of say that you access this content at the level that and the time commitment that you wanted for it.
Thank you.
Hope that answers the question.
It did. No, it absolutely did. And then last but not least, more of a question for Kathy. I mean, there's the reference to the additional 0.3 FTEs. Is that something we'll be expecting to discuss?
So Kim right now is going through her staffing requests. I think you've seen this in the past. There's always a reduction at times because we've found some efficiencies and maybe some additions. So we'll go through that process, and we're mindful, of the budget process and
Sure.
Where we always try to get within a certain range. But I can never promise I'm going to be exactly where the target is set at the town level, because we're working with children and programs, and children's needs change, and special education needs change, and so those things are always evolving, and that is reflected in our budget each year, are the needs of our students, but also any like programmatic changes. But I would say that we're always looking for not just adding FTE, but finding efficiencies too. And that's always a balance that you've probably seen every year. Kim's
Sure.
slide of we're taking 0.2 away and we're adding 0.2 here, or we're always really try to do that. And Jackie mentioned, some things might go away in order to do other things, so that's always the process we go through.
Just thought it'd be a good idea to highlight that for people
Yeah.
watching.
And we're in that process right now. We're
Right.
doing staffing
Right,
meetings
right.
right now.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thank you. So Kate Martorelli is here with us. I also know that Felicia Pascas, our assistant principal here at the high school, is here as well. This is an annual report you receive each year, and you had just reviewed the 3 through 8 data that Veronica had provided. That's the state level data, and also NGSS, which is at the 5, 8, and 11 grade. And so now we're going to go through kind of the state assessments for SAT and AP for the high school. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So good evening. My name is Kate Martirelli. I'm the school counseling department leader. Thank you to the Board of Education and Superintendent Greener for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. It's my pleasure always to share with you information about our 2024 college testing results. Just a refresher, college testing assessments provide valuable information about our students' potential for success at the post-secondary level, as well as their actual level of achievement in a specific area of study. This report tonight includes information for the class of 2024 for AP exams, SATs, and ACT exams. And so I'll spend the next couple minutes going through some statistics that I'd like to highlight. I also thought it would be beneficial or thoughtful tonight to also share with you our newly updated school profile. So just some insight for those of you, Farmington High School school profile accompanies every single college application that is submitted from Farmington High School, from our seniors to every higher institution. So at this point, I think we're over 2,500 applications have been submitted for our seniors to date. We just passed another early action deadline, which was November 15th. So a good majority of our senior class has applied to colleges already, and part of my responsibility by the end of September every year is to update this school profile to reflect the past graduating class. So we refreshed, a huge credit to one of my counselors, Kurt Daigle, who helped. He's my creative, mind behind counseling in a lot of ways, and he took a stab at refreshing the profile. Shout out to Veronica as someone who, the original, the OG for school profiles. And turned a lot of the statistics that I'm talking about tonight into visuals. So I really, hopefully it's a little bit more friendly to look at the statistics tonight. And then just wanted to show you where these are actually placed on a formal document and how they're, what their purpose is in sending out to colleges every fall and winter. So to speak more specifically about advanced placement exams, Farmington offers 28 AP courses in the areas of arts, English, history, social sciences, STEM, and world languages and cultures. So for the class of, for last year's statistics, so school year 23-24, 549 Farmington High School students took 1,352 AP exams. In 28 subjects, 27 were offered at Farmington High School at the time. 102, as a result, we had 102 AP scholars recognized, 45 AP scholars with honor, and 123 AP scholars with distinction honors. 80% of our FHS juniors and seniors took one or more AP courses, and 62% of our juniors took AP US History. And just to note that all of our junior class has access to college level work right now through either AP US History or American Studies, which is also partnered with UConn ECE now. So every single junior in the junior class through their history curriculum has access to college level work and potential college credit through the AP exam or upon successful completion of American Studies ECE. Additionally, last year College Board introduced an AP school honor roll, and for the second year in a row, Farmington High School has earned gold recognition. Oh, I missed the biggest stat on there. The one that is most notable, I left to last, is 81% of Farmington High School students who took an AP exam last year earned a grade of 3 or higher. So that's a really remarkable statistic. So of all of the tests that were taken last year, 1352, our 81% of our students earned a score that is potentially, transferable for college credit. So a 3, 4, or 5 is typically what colleges are looking for AP credit. So 81% is amazing. I think that's, it's in my report more specifically, but I think that's 8 or 9% higher than the year before.
That's really the highest it's ever been.
Yeah, notably the highest it's ever been. The statistics are in there as far as a yearly reflection. The next one is college admissions testing. So this is a summary cohort for the class of 2024 who took the exam during high school. And I'll note additionally that the data reflects SAT test activity for students who graduated high school in 2024. And if a student took the SAT more than once, the most recent score is summarized on the SAT. On the SAT cohort report that I received from the College Board. That is reflected in this report and on our school profile. So students in the class of 2024 during their junior year participated in a digital Connecticut SAT school day assessment. However, to note, the class of 2025, so our current seniors, experienced a new and adaptive digital SAT school day exam this past March 2024. So that's important to note, given the shift in sort of the experience of taking the SATs has become an adaptive digital test where students are taking down different modules depending on their performance in the first module. And really, College Board's purpose is to provide access and opportunity to students to really demonstrate what they know and are able to do. And the adaptivity of it, the adaptiveness of it, and it allows College Board and us to shorten the test and customize it. We're eager to see more information regarding the class of 2025 SAT cohort information next year. Approximately 11% of our seniors, or 32 students, took the ACT sometime during high school. And the statistics around all of that include an SAT mean of 565, an English mean of 582, and an ACT mean composite score of 28.1. We have a huge percentage of students obviously taking the SATs, and a lower percentage of students each year taking the ACTs. And there's contributing factors there, like still test optional schools and the fact that Connecticut is an SAT school day state. So by default, we provide access to that college admissions testing through the SATs here in a great majority of the East Coast and especially New England. And I just noted in here, because it's on the school profile, that a reminder that our students get access to the PSATs, which is great practice, and mirrors the SAT during 10th and 11th grade during the school day. And then the last part that I'd like to share with you all is just typically how we use some of this data. And I sort of refreshed this year for us as well, because we've had the opportunity to transition. Some of you that have had students come through the system remember Naviance. We have moved from Naviance to a new program called School Links. And School Links has similar features to Naviance, including the scattergrams. And really, I took a screenshot of the scattergram here and used UConn just for the sake of, that's just a good example. The actual plotted graph is sometimes tough for us to use with students, so we dive deeper for our students interested in UConn for the sake of full transparency tonight. But it's a good graph to show, and it's typically the graph that community members are interested in seeing, since UConn's such a popular institution for our students. But you'll see, on the back side, we embed in the axes the SAT scores and the weighted GPA for every student. So for a student who is now using School Links, they have the opportunity to see scattergrams as well, but actually filter further. So on the right side, students can filter by removing kids who applied early, only looking at kids who applied early, looking at kids who were accepted or denied or waitlisted. You can shift from scattergram to acceptance by GPA to application history. school data or district data. Some of the other parts of school links allows us to look at school data, district data in comparison to national data. So this is just a good example of how testing is used in one way to help my team, help kids and help families develop their post-secondary planning list in a thoughtful and meaningful way. For a student, if I were a student, I'd also have a little plot in there so I'd be able to see myself very visually. And this scattergram has always sort of been our, I don't know, our thing, you know, what we feel is pretty valuable as far as helping kids make, you know, educated decisions when building their list of post-secondary options. Related to college admission testing, which I haven't really mentioned too much in the past, but we always talk about through, you know, some sort of press release or honor, is a small number of our seniors through their junior year PSAT test are named National Merit semifinalists. And then through like an application process after the nomination and, you know, a letter of recommendation from us and so forth, most of our students also become finalists as well. And then there is a set of students who are also receive a letter of commendation for their participation on the PSATs as well. So those are great honors that, you know, some of a few examples how we use testing in our individual planning. And just as a reminder, the school counseling office here really has a lot of priority in offering individual meetings to students in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, in addition to our freshman transition work, where in each of those meetings we talk about not just testing and college admissions testing, but sort of the whole profile, the course selection process, the you know, criteria, areas of interest, academics, in an effort to kind of pull the whole profile together for a student. Some of you guys have been through some of those meetings before, so our mission is really to personalize and individualize that process as much as possible for our students, leveraging the data and information that we have from testing and course programming here at Farmington High School. That's it. Questions?
Pretty thorough, actually. The materials you provided for the packet were great. Very helpful.
Yeah, and then enjoy a copy of the new profile too. If you have questions on that, I'm happy to answer that as well.
This is very good. This is really good presentation. It's excellent. It's very thorough. So I don't have any questions.
Dan's photo with the rainbow just keeps
Yeah,
showing.
I know.
Dan, you're really.
It's a good thing.
I was trying to be humble about it, but I didn't notice
But you
that.
really shouldn't be humble.
Everybody's happy we know
Across the
election.
country now, like this is in the hands of colleges and universities across the country, maybe even international.
Where's the credit to the photographer?
I'm just happy we own the IP.
If it helps them get into school, it would be worth it right there.
Thanks, Kate. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kate. So the next item is how we get there, which is our school and program development plans, and Assistant Superintendent Kim Nguyen is going to provide an overview of our strategic priorities aligned to teacher and administrator goals for the 24-25 school year.
Thank you, Kathy. So I know that you all had the opportunity to read through each of the program improvement plans and school development plans in this year's document. And I prepared this slide just to highlight some of the areas that really spell out the highest priorities, some of which really you'll see across the grades, and some are unique programmatic areas of focus. You know, each school's plan is unique to the needs of the students in that building, and yet we always think about coherence and developing a program of learning experiences that builds from year to year and level to level in ways so that students can capitalize on the skills they've learned, experience learning in similar ways, and yet grow and advance in more sophisticated learning routines. So in culture and climate, this year just I want to highlight the fact that we've decided to elevate one of our core beliefs, actions matter, really in support of student voice and leadership in creating that culture of respect and inclusivity in each of our schools. It aligns very well with the vision of the global citizen goal, self-aware individual, and asking students to be reflective about their part in, and how they can be reflective about their own actions in supporting a culture of respect, and then deepening students' skills and ability and language when it comes to conflict resolution and restorative practices. All of these things, along with our family partnerships, really help to create an environment in which students can feel comfortable and safe and ready to learn. So culture and climate really sets the stage for our academic work. In the area of academic achievement, we're focused this year in the area of special services primarily, although all of our students are learning greater levels of independence and taking ownership for their own learning, exercising agency. We are continuing to work on the early literacy skills in grades K to 2 and K to 3. We had a focus on phonics last year, and that is continuing this year as well. You just heard about the science pathways. You heard a little bit about making thinking visible and building thinking classrooms. We're continuing that work, and it is not just high school work, it's K-12 work. So if you were to be in and out of classrooms these days, you would see students working in smaller groups on vertical surfaces like little whiteboards, kind of doing problem-solving work together, brainstorming ideas together, making that kind of thinking work visible to the teacher, visible to each other. So it's really a very powerful learning strategy, and there are deeper and deeper levels of doing that work. So it's not something that we just did last year and now we're all set with that. It's going to take us a few years to work through and become more expert at it. I think a focus continues on critique and feedback protocols in classrooms, and having learning on display, not just the learning in process on whiteboards, but having students really looking at each other's work, be it a piece of writing, a science experiment, but helping students to be able to kind of see how other students learn, and in turn discover their own new ways of learning themselves. And in the area of teaching and learning, again, we're working to deepen our understanding of deeper learning and experiential learning, and how much more engaging it is for students to be involved. You saw a presentation tonight of students learning outdoors, and really when you listen to what they were learning about, it's all those academic concepts in science that we might have just learned out of a textbook, but it's so much more powerful to have that idea of experiencing the learning firsthand, using your hands to learn. And it clearly, as you listen to the students, it engages their heart. They're really interested in it. They're passionate about the stewardship of the earth that they're experiencing when they're outdoors and working together. And then one other thing I want to highlight in that category is the impact of AI on teaching and learning. Those are just emerging understandings for us. It feels a little like a tidal wave. It's hard to catch up, but we already are thinking a lot about it, and we have a committee that will start in the first of the year, thinking more about how we need to come to terms with the ways in which AI will enhance and make some things more efficient in learning, but also be very thoughtful about the ethical side of AI and the use of it in the classroom and in teacher practice as well. So we're trying to go slow, learn, and take our time to really fully understand the impact of AI on schooling and in this century. So that's kind of an overview. There are many more unique things that each school is working on, but these are probably the overarching priorities for our work this school year.
Thank you, Kim. Any questions? I'll tell you, this presentation has gotten really good over the years.
It used to be a
lot longer, and given later in the evening, too.
Yeah.
Much later.
Good is short. Got it.
Not short. Good isn't short. Good is succinct. Good is respectful of our time. That's what good is. And that's what this was. This is like kind of like our playbook. This is what we tell the outside world. This is this is our theory of action. This is how we do. This is what our goals are, what our intentions are, and how we intend to execute these plans. Mm-hmm. And I think it's something that was when it was first conceived of doing it like this in this kind of format so long ago. It's now become the standard in public education in the state of Connecticut. And again, another place where Farmington is a leader. So again, thank you very much for the hard work. I know this is the last time you're going to make this presentation.
Yes, right. Well, some of these things, I think it's so important in Farmington that this doesn't look new and different every year. Like, what are we doing this year?
Right.
Nothing we've ever seen before. There's such continuity and consistency and thoughtfulness over time, and then eventually something feels like it's who we are. We've got it down, and we're ready to take that off, and new things come on. So I also think it's important it's like a nice slide to go back to say, what are the new priorities this year and the continuing priorities from years past.
Well, I think what it does too is it sets it, so if anybody's curious about how Farmington teaches or what are we teaching or why, this gives you that in pretty black and white language. This is how we do it. This is why we do what we do. And this is how we're going to execute it. So, thank you very much. Thank you, Kathy.
So the next is professional appointments. We have no professional appointments, resignations, retirements for this month's report. And deeper learning updates, it's very much a lot of what you've seen tonight, including the results on the College Board. These are the types of learning experiences that lead to high levels of achievement, high levels of belonging, and the type of learning that engages the head, heart, and hands. So I always welcome everyone to look at them. All of them are just so engaging and amazing. What our students, the pictures, everything in here is just beautiful and reflects what you see in our school development plan. You can't really see it on this slide, but in the report you can.
One of the pictures of one of the students is my next door neighbor's kid.
Oh,
so I got to bring that up.
Nice, yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to ask you all to go up to the slide and take a minute to read it. Make sure you've got your binoculars. Okay. Next item on the agenda. Thank you, Kathy. Item 7, unfinished business budget impact budget update. Dan.
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for all the support throughout. It was greatly appreciated by myself and the entire family. So thank you. The budget update impact. As you know, as I continue to do this a little bit, you're going to start seeing these themes that you haven't seen over the years. We're going to be continuing to look at. Salaries is always going to be a category that we're going to be focusing a lot on. Special services is always going to be that, and with its multiple branches, whether it's tuition, paraprofessionals, or transportation, specialized transportation is always going to be a key area. Health insurance is something we're always going to monitor. And once again, as a school district, we're working with people, and so there's these things that are just, always going to be challenges and going to be these high level of volatility that we'll continue to manage. The one area too that, probably just like you're saying at home with your electricity bill and stuff, utilities is something that we're working to get, a good grasp on. But, a couple things to feel good about. We're really seeing some positive things overall in transportation, fewer bus runs, so fewer buses. And then one of the things that we hadn't really, I think maybe anticipated was really gas. Less buses going on, so less gas, and I think gas prices have kind of come down a little bit too. So we're seeing some pretty significant savings there that we didn't anticipate. So we'll kind of continue to monitor all those, to kind of make sure from there, while at the same time we're looking to, start building, next year's budget. That's always an interesting part in education that, we're still getting our hands around this year's budget, and we're already starting to build for next year. So the principals are hard at work at that. We kind of talked about that. Staffing is going to be, once again, the primary driver of the, significant part of the budget, and taking a look at that. So that'll be, as we kind of anticipate for next year, one variable for that just kind of keep in mind is as we do the elementary enrollment, changing, some of the, how staffing goes along with the students, and going there. But hopefully, maybe even possibility look for some opportunities for efficiencies, but there might be some other elements there that need to make sure that we're staffing. So yeah, a lot of things always going on. It's never dull in the world of finance, and I'm going there. But I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Angel.
I might just be looking at the wrong thing. So we have the normal monthly recap that we're voting on?
It's not on tonight's agenda.
Okay, so this is separate than that. So we're not
Right.
looking at anything for, I guess it would be October
Right.
that closed. So we're just going to do that in December? Is that the plan?
We got some delays in the insurance report, which
Okay.
obviously is another big driver in that. So we don't have that October summary. So that actually just kind of came in late Friday, so to make for the report.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is probably October. We'll be able to do the October summary
Okay.
in December, but since the December meeting is December 9th, we probably won't have the November. So
Got
that
it.
hopefully January we can catch up and then do the November summary and January summary for the January Board of Ed meeting.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure
November,
I wasn't missing
December.
something.
Yes, sorry, November.
So I was going to
Yeah.
actually, I had a similar thought, but I can understand. You had mentioned in the last meeting, and I think a lot of us were mindful of, I don't want to use the word concern, we want to be mindful of any adjustments to the transportation contract, given any givebacks, adjustments made, just be mindful of that as when you're coming forward to talking
Yeah,
about the next
absolutely. I
month.
mean, and I can speak on that. We started looking, doing a deep dive in the contract, looking at areas where, kind of, for lack of better words, fines and things, and opportunities, and there. The reality is, despite kind of where we did and the different, the areas, we're still looking at it, but I don't think it would be. I don't think it'd be a significant recouping, right? It would be something that is there, and there's still conversations as we're looking at invoices. But as we kind of did an audit to say kind of what would qualify under the contract of something where there would be kind of a fine, so to speak. It doesn't add up really to be as substantial as maybe we would kind of hope, and going there. And then there's always going to be a concept there with what you could recoup, and then if they decide to say, well, no, I don't think that was under the, that was under the, and you go back, and then if it gets litigious and you start getting into legal fees, potentially what you end up getting in fines, you lose in the, so it's really trying to find a balance, in there, looking in there. So once again, still some ongoing conversations about that in there, but I don't think. I guess my point is, from our looking at it in macro, I don't think while there'll be some, potentially something there, I don't think it'd be a major impact on the budget overall.
I would say just let's see what the numbers are. Let's see what you come back with. The board, I think unanimously in our last meeting was of the mind that we really want to see how that plays out. That we have an interest in it.
I mean, we already know that we're under budget
Right.
in September. So,
Right.
just even given the invoice we were provided and then further discussions, I think they were mindful of.
Okay, so how they build us, they're kind of
Yeah.
anticipating that pushback and then build us kind of
Yeah, I
with
think
that
they
in
were
mind.
clear that, you know, the
Okay.
concerns that were shared with them, not only here, but from parents throughout the month of September, for
fair.
sure.
That's fair. Again, I don't want to
Yeah.
bog us down too
And
much.
sure.
It's on
And I-
everybody's mind.
Could I just explain, so for those who, you know, I've been here a bit, so I know the history of these agenda items. Budget update, budget impact. So budget update was always intended to talk about like how things are going and impact and like an update. We're in the middle of a budget. We're always we're in 3 budgets, you know, last year's, this year's, and next year's. So this was to kind of think budget update, like we're in developing this budget, here's an update of where we are, and you should expect this in 25, 26 when we come to you. And budget impact is special services this year is challenging, and we're going to be over budget in line. So the board many years ago wanted this, not just the financial reports, but they wanted more. And so we added this because not every board meeting we will have a financial report for you to approve. So just so you know, this is always on our agenda. So you always hear from Dan 2 times in a board meeting if we have a financial report to approve as well. But it's just to give you probably more information than you need. Keep everyone on the same page.
All right, next item on the agenda, item 7B, 2024 policy update, second reading.
So, yep, this is the second reading. If you go to the next slide, this gives you an overview of the big areas for each of, for these updates for 2024. And so if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those, but this is a second reading. We did go over this in both the policy meeting and now in as a second reading for the board.
Questions? Marty?
I got a comment. I wrote it out. So it covers policies 1220, 4118, and 5146. They're all on the non-discrimination for the community, personnel, and students. These new regulations presented here are reflective of the Biden executive order with respect to Title IX. The board members have been told that we must accept these new regulations because Farmington has been out of compliance with Biden's executive order and as such face losing federal funding. The election's over, and President-elect has said that on day 1, 2 months from now, he will end the very executive order these new regulations are based on. He also has stated that most likely the previous language from his administration will become effective again. These regs now will remain intact until the new administration. With this reality facing us, it would be imprudent for this board to vote on to enact these changes presented to us at this time.
So Bill, if I may, what I'm hearing is kind of a projection into the future. But my understanding is right now, we have to kind of make our decisions based on current law, current requirements. And while the president-elect may have said what he intends to do, that's projecting into the future. We don't know when or if that's actually going to happen. So I think with anything, this is an example of an opportunity or a situation where we need to kind of deal with the present and what's kind of required of us right now. In this
Why are we motion?
You're out of order, sir.
So I mean, I think we discussed it last time. Came through the policy committee and came from Shipman and Goodwin, and it's based on where we are right now with the requirements as a board. So I will be supporting
We've been out of compliance for 3.5 years.
Angel's got a question.
He can finish, it's okay.
But we've been out of compliance for 3.5 years, and then it's updated in August.
No. 3.5 years?
3.5 years ago, the executive order went in. And then in August, it was revised. And what we're changing here is based on what was revised in August. Is that correct?
Is the revision in August, we've always been in compliance. from the very beginning. We're always in compliance because these are written by our attorneys who ensure that we're in compliance. And if this changes, which it could, it absolutely could, we would come to you with changes. And you would do a first and second reading of that. That's how this works. Laws change, laws can go back to original status that they were, but we have to change with it. And that's just an example. Right now, this is what it is now. And if that changes, I will bring those new policies to the policy committee, then to you for a first and second reading.
So a situation where a board member is voting no or suggesting that we don't move forward with this, that's suggesting that we're out of compliance. The way things are now, to me. That's what that means to me.
I honestly and sincerely, you vote however you want to vote, right?
Right.
You can vote however you want to
I'm
vote,
just
Marty.
clear.
There's 9 of us here.
I understand.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not
Okay.
finished, okay? I understand your point. I heard what you said, and I understand the rules that President Biden put in place, right? And I understand President-elect Trump has every intention of changing those rules. And what I said at our last meeting is true then, and it's true today, and it'll be true on January 22nd. The Farmington Public Schools will always be in compliance with the existing law on the date that we act. So on January 22nd, if an executive order comes down and abrogates all of this, if an executive order comes down and abrogates the Department of Education, cutting off all of our funding, we'll be in compliance with the law. Period. Period. How we feel about it, what we think about it, whether it's right or wrong, how it affects our moral compass, is irrelevant to our responsibility under the law. You have all the right in the world to say what you want to say. It's a free country and will continue to be a free country. You can say how you want, feel how you want. But our role as a board is to follow the law as it exists today. That's all. That's it. I don't have anything else to add. I have no editorial comment to make. People have strong feelings. That we just had an election, and that made it pretty clear where I think we're all going. But that's the way it goes. So, but as it sits here today, this is what we're going to do. And then again, in January, if it changes, then that's what we're going to do. Period. Anyway.
My question was answered.
Okay. So it's simple as that. I don't see it any more controversial or uncontroversial. Are there any other comments regarding any, or questions regarding any other policies? So I'll go through each one because I understand there's going to be some no votes, so I don't want to do a carte blanche. We'll go through each policy so that there's not like kind of like an opportunity. If you have an opportunity to vote no, I want to give you that opportunity.
Wait, so we're going to be doing them in all separate votes now
Yeah, I
this
think
time?
so. I think that's probably right. I mean, I don't want you to feel, or anyone who might be inclined to vote no to any one of these policies to feel like they're being kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like ignored or disregarded. You have the right to vote no. In other words, you want to vote no on an individual policy, I think you have the right to do that. Certainly. So I'm going to give you that opportunity. That's all. So can I get a motion to approve policy update listed below? I'll go with the first one, 2020 and 2020A, non-discrimination. Can I get a motion to approve?
1220.
Sorry, 1220 and 1220A. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. 6-2. Next, motion 3326, purchasing. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
That's 7-1.
Sorry,
3170.
sorry, Bill, I'm having trouble because they're out of order for, you're going in the, not.
Order, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going on, you know what, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, you know
I'm
what,
just,
fair
because I
enough.
wasn't prepared
Angela,
with
that's
this, to be honest with you.
No, it's
so,
on the agenda. You're
It's
going
on
by
the agenda, you're
going
going
by
by
the
the
agenda.
order.
Okay.
I thought that
It's
one
ordered.
was a different one, but,
I'm going by the slide, the slide matches the agenda.
She's going by
Yeah.
the agenda.
That one,
He's
but
going
I
by the
think,
agenda.
Angela, you're looking at
your
the
slide,
chart.
the chart.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I put in categories, which is not in that format and on the agenda, so,
Thank you, I'm sorry, fair enough, I should have been more clear that I'm going off of the agenda. Kathy's slide is a summary, but it's not the actual.
Okay, it's fine. You can keep my vote for that. We can just move forward now. I'm on track. It's
Okay.
fine.
Okay, 3170, board budget procedures and line item transfers.
Motion.
You get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
6-2. 4001, employment and student teacher checks. Motion to approve.
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, FMLA, 4150. Motion to approve.
Motion?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, 4118 and 4118A, non-discrimination, personnel. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
6-2. Next, 4120.4, employees in section 504, ADA, personnel. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Is that one nay?
719, yeah. 5142.21, administration of medications. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, 51-121,
No, it's
5121 and 5121,
No, sorry, there's a type, 5112.
51, sorry,
Yeah, .1.
5112 and 5112.1. A, admission to the public schools at or before age 5. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, 5113.2 and 5113.2A, attendance, truancy, and chronic absenteeism. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, 5119A, homeless children and youth. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion?
Get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5150 and 5150A, improved completion rate of the FAFSA. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention carries. 5146 and 5146A, non-discrimination students. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
5147 and 5147A, section 504, ADA students. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
5140.2, 5140.2A, suicide prevention and intervention. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion?
Can I- Second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5131, 5131A, student discipline. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then lastly, 9012, legal responsibilities of Farmington Board of Education. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, 2024 policy repeals, second reading. Kath.
So this has to do with two different policies, student conduct on the bus, which it was redundant, no longer needed. We took the regulations and put them in a different policy, and then increasing educator diversity. We now have to submit a plan to the state for approval, and so this policy is no longer required.
Okay, anything else to it? No. Can I get a motion to repeal policy 3541.7 and 3541.7A, student conduct on the bus?
Motion?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention carries. Motion carries. 4111.3, increasing educator diversity plan. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, next item, agenda 8, new business, policy repeals, first reading. Kath.
Yes, so 4119, personal technology, it is redundant with another policy. And this one doesn't get updated, so it really isn't a good idea to continue with this policy because it's not getting updated regularly by Shipman and Goodwin. It's already covered in the...
employee use of computer systems.
Yes, thank you. Okay,
The
all right. And then 4123, teaching homebound students. This is a repeal. It's not a mandated policy. And the requirements change periodically, and this really often has to do with IEPs and what's written in an IEP, which we would follow that, not a policy. That's a legal document we must follow, and that can change with individual students. So it was recommended that we also repeal this.
Any conversation, comments, questions? Angela?
Kathy, 4119, where you say it's redundant, do you have the policy number, which it is, just so I could read it?
Yes.
It doesn't, I
So
can
Matt's
send it.
looking for you right now.
Okay.
I probably have it in my notes. Yeah, it overlaps with employee use of computer system policy, which would be under personnel, right?
4118.4 and 4118.4A.
You got that?
Yeah, I'll take a look at that before next reading. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Okay. All right, can I get a motion to approve 4119 personal technology repeal first reading? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
4123 teaching homebound students first reading. Can I get a motion to repeal? Motion to approve to repeal, I should say.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, 8B, approval of the 2025-2030 vision of the global citizen and 5-year goals. Kathy?
So, as you know, our district 5-year goals are completely aligned to our vision of the global citizen, or our VOGC. As a board, you experience the evidence of our VOGC within our regular deeper learning updates, our school introductions, like tonight, results and outcomes reports, which are our internal accountability system, as well as state level outcomes. In 2020, we updated the vision of the graduate to our vision of the global citizen. The vision of the graduate was effective from 2010 to 2020. And this update was after internal and external community feedback sessions. The work of aligning our VOGC to state standards through curriculum writing, implementation of our framework for teaching and learning and professional development is complex. It's time consuming, so requiring a renewal for another 5 years. We also have an upcoming NEASC visit in November 2025. The whole focus now of NEASC is a vision of the graduate, or a VOGC. And we really were at the forefront of that, and one of the first districts, if not the first district, to implement it K-12 in Connecticut and well beyond. So this would be doing basically very similar to the last iteration of our vision of the graduate.
Questions? Hearing none, any motion to approve?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, review, discussion, and potential action of the Board of Ed schedule for 2025, 2026, right?
Yep, so this is a first reading, and this year we made our home at FHS, going to different areas of the school. But next year, we're going to go back to all of our schools and have our meetings at various schools. And per the request of principals, they would like to have a different month than what they've had for many, many, many years. So we've mixed it up for next year. So typically, Westwoods is always in November. And so we've mixed that up for them per their request.
Can I ask, is it possible if we move the meeting at Union School from the 17th to the 8th of December? Is that possible? You can check with Kate and see if she can make that work.
Yeah, I think you would just switch that. So you would amend it.
So I moved to amend it so that the Union School presentation would occur on December 8th.
Right, so when you would pass this for a first reading, you say as amended, not as presented.
Okay.
And we will make that change for the second reading.
Okay, thank you. So, any other questions about the calendar?
Is there any reason why?
Maybe.
I have
my own personal reasons as to why. It doesn't really
secret,
impact.
that's fine.
It doesn't affect anything.
I think I know.
I think
I think I know. But, I had one question.
Sure.
The October 21st one is on a Tuesday. Is that because the Monday is, I think the Monday is a holiday, I think. Or it's a
I'm
school
having
closing.
that check.
Yes, it's.
Yes, school's closed on that Monday,
Okay.
the 20th,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so,
Is school closed though the day
Diwali.
after too?
Monday's,
No, it's-
no, that's the professional development.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so school, school's closed, but teachers are.
Got it. I think the 20th is Diwali day.
Right, yeah.
Oh, it's just the volume.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought it was,
The other one.
Mother
That's the
one.
weekend before.
Oh, okay, so you get 2 long weekends in a row. These kids, man, I'm telling you. Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the 2025-2026 BOE meeting schedule as amended, reflecting the change so that the Union School presentation will occur on December 8th of 2025?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, 2025-2026 school district budget development guidelines, priorities, timeline. Kathy.
So Dan is going to provide just an overview. This is the launch of our 25-26 budget development process, our principals. This has gone over with our principals. We've, again, Kim, you'll see in the timeline, we've already started staffing meetings, so we're getting well into it. And so I'll have Dan provide an overview.
Yeah, so just, kind of taking a look at that timeline, just a couple highlights. As the building principals are working on, their building budgets. Even prior to that, Sam Kilpatrick and myself, along with building custodians, principals, math, had gone to all of the buildings to talk about capital projects, major projects, and start kind of building that. And then we kind of put all those together, obviously look to kind of prioritize, also try to identify if it's possible to even try to get some of those projects done within this fiscal year to kind of get a head start on some of those. And so then, like I said, the building principals will start developing their project, their budgets. We'll go through, then they'll, obviously bring them to the central office. They'll work with the central office staff. Like I said, one of the big primary ones is staffing. So we'll look there, and those will be based on the enrollment projections that we recently did. And then once again, we go through, the various timelines there. Obviously, go through, board of ed meetings, town council meetings, and so on, and continuing to refine it until we get to ourselves a finalized budget for the following year. What we do, some of the guidelines that we give the staff is based on the information we get, consumer price index. We have it at a 2.75% for just, kind of rollover for most of the staple goods, instructional supplies, other types of things. Obviously, we have teacher contracts that are based, collectively bargained, that we'll utilize those. And then I believe it's around December, we start getting anticipated cost for budget for health insurance. And so we'll do that, and then that'll get updated as we get a little closer. So those are some of the other drivers that we'll utilize. So, questions about the timeline?
We're gonna still have the same January stuff where the capital comes,
Yeah.
and all the technology comes in early, all that. Nothing's changed from that process.
Nope.
Okay. All right, any questions? Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. How much staff do you need for, I'm just trying to think, we should do this now, right? The executive session. You want to do that now? Okay. All right. So next I need a motion to adjourn our meeting to executive session at 9:08 p.m. as permitted by Connecticut General Statute, Section 1-225 Sub A, for the following purposes as allowed by Section 1-200 Subparagraph 6, subparagraph capital A, that is to consider security strategy or the deployment of security personnel or devices, section 1-200, subsection 6. And that the attendance into this executive session shall be limited to the members of the Board of Education, the superintendent, schools, assistant superintendents, and the central office staff. Can I get a motion? Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are in executive session at 9:08. Need a motion to return to public session. Motion. Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're back in public session at 9:35 p.m. All right, next item on the agenda is the report of the board chair. Where are my notes? Okay, we're not much. I do want to reiterate what I said during the comments discussing policy. We will always follow the law here. I want to be very clear about that, whether we like it necessarily or not. So if the law changes in January in some way, we will follow the law then as well. A couple of things. Union School was reported out today. The U.S. News and World Report has identified Union School as top 50 elementary schools in the state of Connecticut. I believe it was number 37. So that's exciting for Union School. And last week, I don't know if anybody saw it, in Niche, the online rating service, we were rated 8th in the state in terms of high schools. So that leads into my next line. We won 2 state championships this weekend.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Exciting.
I was talking to a friend of mine, and the sun goes up, the sun goes down, Farmington wins championships. He said that sounded kind of smug. I said yes. I'm okay with that. Our next meeting is on December 9th, and it is here. And just in terms of questioning, kind of dovetailing a little bit on what we discussed, at some point, Kath, before we have our budget session, I would like to have a basic understanding of what would happen if Farmington lost all of its federal funding, because that is something that we've been led to believe may actually happen. So I'd like to know what that budget impact would look like as we go into our budget. Or at least be prepared to have a discussion about that. That's all I have in terms of my report. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Enjoy it. Hope you get lots to eat. I will not be eating lots. I've been pretty much, as you may know, has some medical issues, and I gotta stop eating.
Just all together.
Too much information, but in the interest of transparency. All right, next item, report of committee chairs, personnel negotiations and draft.
Nothing to report.
Policy, Beth.
We just voted on a bunch
Right.
of
So
the
maybe take a
latest.
break. I encourage you guys maybe to take a break. Curriculum. Andrea.
Yeah, our last meeting was October 21st, and we reviewed the deeper learning district convening. We discussed making thinking visible, the summer institute that was held over the summer with teachers coming in for 3 days. And then the science program review, which we had just an update on tonight. So everything that we reviewed in curriculum has been reviewed either tonight or in the previous board meeting. And our next meeting is January 27th.
Thank you. Communications, Beth.
Nothing to report on communication.
The report of the committee liaisons. Correct, nothing to report. Extended learning, Sylvia.
Actually, they're having a networking event this Thursday, 5 to 6 for mostly seniors here at the high school.
Can I ask, can you put me on the invitation? I can't go this Thursday, but I'd like to be on the invitation list.
Sure,
going forward.
absolutely. I'm going, so
I
I'm
can't
excited.
make it, unfortunately, but I would like to go to that in the future if possible. Superintendent's Interscholastic Athletic, Andrea.
Nothing to report.
James, Farmington Public Schools.
Yeah, their next board meeting is actually tomorrow night. I anticipate that they will be voting on the next Trivia Beat date, which is, there's 2 dates that's being thrown around, end of February, beginning of March. So.
How are they doing with recruitment?
Got a couple of new board members.
Awesome.
So they're working hard to get the website back up and running, and then the Trivia Beat will be huge. I think they're going to try to get additional funding for that and and really try to ramp up activity.
We usually have at least 1 or 2 Board of Ed teams for that, so start hitting the,
We're ready.
Start hitting your Wikipedias and your encyclopedias and start getting ready. Focus, health and wellness, Angela.
We had a meeting in October. The next meeting is in February. They did a good job of just giving us updates throughout the district on all the different schools. One initiative for this upcoming year is just to expand the group to, I think, more members that like touch those topics. Mm-hmm. So I've done a little recruitment of like a pediatrician and pediatric dentist residents that have kids in the district that, you know, has expressed interest, and I forwarded them along. So if anyone knows anyone else with, I think, those types of qualifications that we know of people in the district that are willing to use their, you know, careers and knowledge to kind of better, send them our way too.
So one of the things when I was involved in Focus was we did a lot of talking with high school parents with, like, you know, potential issues like, you know, drinking, alcohol, drugs, and I presented once on social host liability, like what would happen. And it's still true. It was true 10 years ago, true today, right? You know, parents that are going to let the kid, if you just stay here, that kind of thing. So I'm happy to talk to you offline if you want me to provide information. If that's something, it may not be a priority for you guys right now, which is perfectly understandable because I know you're kind of trying to get it up off the ground. So
No, I think that's
keep me in mind
super relevant. I can
keep me in mind.
the woman who is in the head of it is also actually named Angela. It's meant to be that I was the liaison, I guess. So I'll certainly I can certainly bring
Whatever
that up
they
to her
need.
and then circle back.
Happy to help.
Yep.
Nadine's not here. Green Efforts, Marty?
November 4th was our last meeting. They've been talking about the next cleanup day townwide. And our next meeting is December 3rd.
Thank you. Erica, Community Council for Equity and Inclusion.
They have not met yet.
Do you have a date on the schedule at all?
No.
You having
I
a hard
haven't
time getting a
yeah,
date?
I just haven't seen anything yet, so I might be missing something.
I can't hear.
A date on the schedule for a meeting.
For what?
CC, Community
We
Council.
had a
CCI. Oh,
CCI.
yes, we have a date coming up in January.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen anything communicated yet.
It was potentially going to be just a virtual meeting, but we took like a committee vote and everyone wanted to meet in person, so it'll be a January meeting in person.
When was your last meeting?
Yeah.
The last meeting was, just
Yeah,
a couple of weeks ago.
I am not getting any of the communications then.
goodness.
Yeah, I was getting them, but I'm not getting them. And they usually come to my Board of Ed email, right? That's where, no, I haven't
to
seen
your
anything.
FPS,
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Should
So,
be. All right,
So-
I'll follow through on that.
Yeah, Kim,
Yep.
could you give, just because you just had a meeting,
Yeah.
a little overview of that meeting?
We were sad that we've lost Kathy Taylor. She's been our friend and partner for a number of years, but she had other commitments and needed to step away. And now we have 2 new partners from CREC. So it's great to have new, interesting connections there. This was probably, this meeting this fall, with the best turnout that we've ever had from family members, students, teachers, and parents. We met here, was very comfortable and nice. I'm trying to think, we talked a lot about what does it really mean to belong. We all say the word belonging, it's a popular word to say these days. What does belonging really mean? And we started with ourselves. What's a time when you felt like you really belonged? And how did you know that? And what feelings did you have? And then we talked about our sense of it in schools. In what ways do we believe our children have those same experiences? How do they manifest themselves? Is it through clubs? Is it, what are the various experiences? And then our consultants did a little, presentation or talking about from their point of view as social workers and as experts in the field. So it was I think a nice reflective evening. We broke up into groups and put posters on the wall and talked about the kinds of initiatives that from each of our roles, like in my role as administrator versus the students all clustered together, what did they feel like they could do? So it was, I think, proactive, and I think the group feels very committed to each other in this work and getting to know each other, and how they can make a difference going forward.
Thank you. Can you send me an invitation to the next meeting as well, please?
Yes.
I'd like to do that, if I can. I'd like to be, just as ex officio or whatever, I just kind of want to be there with Eric.
Yes.
You know, I think it's important, board chairs at a meeting like that. Building committee.
Yes, so we actually met briefly last Friday in a special meeting that I wanted to update the board on. It was to go over the proposed change order to replace the existing grandstands and press box here at the high school. So the upgrading of the bleachers in that spectator area has been on the radar, right, of administration for many years, probably before even you were here, Kevin. You know, we know it's undersized, it's not very accessible, and it was on the original plan for this building project, but it was for cost-saving purposes. It was one of those things kind of value engineered out, but you know, stayed on a list of potential projects. So the project manager recently took a look at the pricing and brought it forward to the decision-making group and then the larger committee. Given that we have a healthy contingency balance, it's a high need project.
The ADA component alone.
Yeah. You know, just the need for improvement for accessibility and expansion to the bleachers and the spectator area. So, and the work is reimbursable if it's done by the state, if it's done within this larger high school project, whereas if it was later to be done later as a capital project.
So we're going to do it?
Well, we voted to approve it and move forward with that. So they approved the change order. Again, it was a special meeting. And what brought it up to need a special meeting was the timeline. So the materials need to be ordered and just so they can meet the time frame for working on it this summer.
That's
completing
part
it
of like
this
the
summer.
project, right?
So, yep, so we got that done last week and we have a regular meeting coming up Wednesday this week.
Thank you, Beth. Noah Walls Fund. Andrea?
Nothing to report.
Nothing else? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.